Habits are a great way of structuring your day, especially when you no longer have the kind of very hard structure that work life gives you. So when you're in retirement, having a few simple habits is a great way of giving you that gentle scaffolding to give your life structure. And I came across an interesting article here all about 12 daily habits that separate happy retirees from restless ones. So what are the good habits in retirement that will give you a better retirement life? And that's what we're going to dive into today and take a look. So grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. This is my regular morning cup of tea. Okay, so this is another article. I did one last week. If you're interested, you can check out the video here on the screen somewhere. This is from the Artful Parent. artfulparent.com, and here we are, 12 daily habits that separate happy retirees from restless ones. I am a creature of habit, and they can be good things and they can be bad things, but if you can concentrate on good habits in life, it's a great way of getting things done. For instance, I do regular exercise and I make it a habit. Once a habit is sort of established, it's quite hard to break. And so if you're not really into exercising and that much, if you do it maybe on a regular basis for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, then it becomes a habit and you almost don't want to break that habit. So there is an example of how you can use a habit to form sort of a good behavior, as it were. Anyway, let's take a deeper dive, as I said, on this article here. Straight away, we've got here, retirement isn't a finish line, it's a redesign. On this channel, I bang on about this all the time, that retirement is not that end point that you're getting to and then you kind of, and that's it, and you sort of wait until you die kind of thing. No, for me, especially if you retire early, retirement is an opportunity to start the next big chapter in your life. It's a chance to rediscover yourself, redesign life how you want it to be. You may have been sort of knocked and pushed gently into a life that you're living that isn't your authentic life. And retirement is an opportunity to kind of rebalance, rediscover yourself and start living a new life, but based on your values. That's what this channel is all about. So yeah, if you're new here, definitely check out my other videos, hit subscribe, toggle that notification bell. That way you'll know when I upload videos like this. So number one, start the day on purpose. Mornings set the tone, it says. And that's true. They go on here, if I roll straight from bed to the news, my brain sprints before my feet do. And then, yeah, before you know it, you've read some angry thing on internet, on social media or something, and then you're in an argument or you're angered or triggered or whatever it is, and it can set the day, absolutely. Or when you were working, you're rushing out the door and you stub a toe or you spill a drink coffee down you, and it's just like, oh, and it ruins your day. When you're retired, after that first 6 months of that honeymoon period or wherever long it takes, some people it's longer, there may be moments when you're sort of lolling about in bed and you can't get out of bed and all this kind of stuff, and that kind of gets you a bit upset and depressed or whatever. That's why starting the day on purpose is so, so important. And I'm not talking about, get up at 3 a.m. to do your first set of weights because you're a winner, baby. None of that. I'm just talking about focusing the mind for the day. When I step outside first, even for the 5 minutes of light and a slow lap around the block, I'm calmer all day. When my partner's here, she likes to go for a run. And really, that's the last. I'm not really a runner. Well, I used to run a long time ago. But actually, her forcing me to do it, even though it's quite knackering, is just enough. It's not too far that it absolutely kills me, but it's far enough to feel like it was an effort. And yeah, it does set you up for the day. Now, look, exercise may not be your thing, and I don't do it every day. It's not a genuine habit. When you set yourself to do something in the morning, get yourself, so wake yourself up, it sets a good tone for the day. Keep a tiny 3-part ritual: light, water, motion. I open the blinds, drink a glass of water, take a short walk before anything else. I tend to, as I said, I'm not taking my son to school, even if I take my son for school, I do that, come back, exercise, and then have a nice breakfast where I chill out, relax, don't rush it, enjoy the sort of purposeful nature of making breakfast. I might watch a YouTube video that's either informative, educating me, or something I'm interested in. Nothing controversial or anything like that. I try to avoid social media in the mornings because that can trigger you. There's some certain social media platforms I've deleted from my phone for that very, very reason. And sometimes, I don't even read the news because, again, that can be triggering. I make sure I get up, I make sure I do something, achieve something early on, but then I relax. I spend that quality time relaxing. Number 2, move your body in ways you enjoy. A few strength moves is what I tend to do. I always go for a walk if I can. Those that watch my channel on a regular basis will know that I do a lot of walk and talk videos. Well, I'm not doing that all the time. Sometimes I walk without a camera. Well, that's not quite true because obviously I've got my phone in my pocket, but you know what I mean. I'm not out there making a video or anything like that. I'm genuinely going for a walk. I'm thinking about the day. I'm thinking about life. I'm listening to the sounds, taking it all in. I don't wear, headphones or anything like that because I just like to hear the sounds. I live in the countryside and all that. So I just like to embrace nature, as it were. Basically, I'm just going for a walk, but I'm just being attentive and I'm being in the moment. Sometimes I walk along the canal and you can see the little ripples, the little bubbles on the surface. And I think, oh, it's a fish. Canals are dirty, so you can't really see deep, but occasionally you can see the fish. So yeah, I move my body. I try to do exercise at least 3 to 4 times a week, some strength training. But what I've started recently doing is radio taiso, which is the sort of morning ritual that they've done in Japan for about 100 years. You see the sort of factory workers doing it, and it's a sort of a gentle movement exercise. And many people put it down to the longevity that exists in Japan. I'm sure there are hundreds of other reasons that people in Japan live to such a long age. But yeah, it's a gentle moving exercise. It's about 5-7 minutes long, something like that. Very gentle, but it just moves the joints a bit and gets you sort of set up. So even if I'm not exercising that day, I try to do a bit of radio taiso. And what I'm thinking is if I can start establishing this good habit now, it'll last with me as I get older and older, and something like that movement in the morning becomes more and more important. But ultimately, exercise should be something you enjoy. So whether it's walking, playing pickleball, doing strength training, if that's your thing, dance class, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, just find joyful ways of moving. Absolutely. Keep one meaningful project. A project gives you shape to time. It could be digitizing old family photos, restoring a bike, planting a pollinator strip, writing your family stories, etc., etc. At the moment, my project is clear the garage. I'm not a great DIYer, but what I recognize in retirement is these projects don't have to be done in a weekend. When you were working and you had like a DIY project, God, blimey, hated them. It had to be done in a weekend. Or, if it was a big one, maybe you'd take a few days off work and do it. And there was a sense that there was a deadline. And that was kind of important when you're working because you don't want to leave it kind of left. But when you're in retirement, you can take your time with these projects. And that's what I'm doing with the garage. I've already started it. It's been about a couple of weeks since I've done anything, but then I've got other things currently going on. But then I'll come back to it. So it's a sort of a long-term project. And then there's sort of learning and stuff that I'm doing, which is, again, long-term stuff. Yeah, just find something that's meaningful to you that you can just sort of pick up and put away and all of that. Block out time to do it if you have to. As it says here, I block out an hour, almost afternoons for mine. No phone, just progress. I think blocking out time is quite crucial to do that if you do have a meaningful project. Otherwise, despite what I said about you've got all the time in the world, it might just sort of unravel a bit. So definitely, if you've got a meaningful project, I think blocking out time is a good thing. It's like I've discussed on this channel before about having a loose scaffold. You do need a little bit of structure, but not too much, not so much so that it constrains you like your work did, because that's the whole point of retiring early, but just enough to give you, as I said, a bit of structure. Schedule social anchors. Oh, I'm terrible at this. Spontaneity is lovely, but dependable connection keeps the mind bright. Oh, my friend who I hadn't seen for ages suddenly texted me out of the blue and said, "You fancy coming for a drink?" And I thought, oh, wow, that's really sweet. And I've been going on about how it's important to reestablish social connections and old friendships, especially in retirement. So I thought this is perfect. And I went round and had a nice meal and a drink with them. And it was lovely. And I thought I must reciprocate. And I'll get round to that, and maybe we'll go out again and sort of repay the kindness, as it were. It's been over 2 months. So yeah, I feel bad about it. I need to do it. I need to make that effort to put a date in, just text him, say, let's go for a drink or whatever, and just repay that moment. So yeah, I think this is quite good. Keep some anchors in your calendar. So here they go, a Tuesday coffee with a neighbor and a Thursday call with an old colleague. Again, however it works for you. If something special pops up, great. If not, you've got those touch points. So I think, yeah, whether it's family, again, I'm pretty bad at. I mean, my daughter is so much better at sort of staying in contact with me than I am with her, which is, awful. Normally when they want something. No, in fairness, she loves sharing, and and I'm really happy to see the things that she's got to share and what she's working on. I think it's absolutely useful to have some social anchor points in where you meet somebody regularly or chat with somebody regularly, even if it's on the phone or something, just to have that social anchor. Again, a little bit of structure. Yeah, it just fills in that gap for when you being a bit like me and being a bit lax with your friendships. At least you know you've got that social anchor, especially with families that you want to kind of keep nurturing and stuff like that. Be of service in tiny ways. Purpose doesn't need a spotlight, it needs a direction. I pick one small contribution most days. Returning carts at the groceries, trimming an overgrown hedge on our block, writing a quick thank you note to the school crossing guard who knows my grandkids by name. Sweet. I think this is quite right. Be of service. Am I of service? Well, I do voluntary work, and I have done for a while for the local sports community centre. Sounds very grand. We basically run the local community centre as a venue for hire. We've set it up so that it kind of runs itself, and all the bookings online and stuff like that. But foolishly, mine is the phone number that people ring. So occasionally I get that. So I guess I'm doing something without much effort in putting back into the community. I must admit, I'm not very good at being of service in this way. And maybe I ought to in life. Is it something I should do? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like, being a good citizen, doesn't it? But what if it doesn't really float your boat? Put your comments down below on that one. Am I just a horrible person or whatever? I don't know. Right, number 6, practice creative play. Play isn't just for children. I talked about this in a previous video briefly about we lose the joy of play, or at least that sense of joy that came from just being a little bit silly, a little bit stupid. Once we get into the world of adulting, it can really like wringing out a cloth of water. It can wring out the joy of life sometimes. I mean, you have fun and at the office and banter and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes just doing things without a purpose, just being silly, playing, It says here, maybe it's watercolors, sourdough, whittling, harmonica, learning to fold origami, cranes. Fair enough. I saw somebody making music via programming it. So basically it's like you're programming a synthesizer, but you're basically coding. And as you code, it makes the music. And I was like straight away thinking, that looks so cool. Because they were narrating as they were doing, okay, we need a B flat here. I need it on a 4/4 time. I need it. And they were just programming it like you would program code. But at the same time, it's playing the music. And they were basically making a drum and bass track or something like that. And I was like, this is brilliant. I want to do that. I'll give it a go. I like programming. I like coding. So maybe I could try and work it out. It just seemed fun. Spend time with younger people. Absolutely. Not in a creepy way. I spend a lot of time with my son. Obviously, he lives with me half the week. I mean, he's a cool guy, but he is an absolute maths nerd. He loves his maths. All credit to him, I tell you what. And he loves sharing with me. And I was good at maths at school. I was pretty good, but his level of maths is way above mine now. And he explains it to me, and I try to understand. And sometimes it's just a little bit beyond me now. But yeah, and then we talk about football, we talk about music and stuff like that. And yeah, you pick these things up. We have a shared love of gaming and YouTube and things like that. In the Venn diagram of stuff we watch on YouTube, there is quite a large section in the middle, sort of nerdy, fun stuff that we both watch, that both come up on our algorithms independently. So yeah, I like spending time with my son, Ask a teenager what 3 songs you should listen to. Hey, no, I try to tell him what songs he should listen to. His girlfriend is introducing him to music from the 90s, which is music that her parents are into. And so suddenly on the Spotify list on the car, he always takes control of the Spotify list in the car. A Radiohead track will suddenly come on and I'll go, what? Or an Arctic Monkeys track. And I'm going, what? And he's going, oh yeah, so-and-so, she started playing this. And I'm thinking, all right, okay, I'm down with this. Absolutely. It's great when they discover music that you loved, when you were younger. I say younger, I'm always into contemporary music. So even in my 20s or 30s, the same kind of music they're suddenly discovering. Plan tiny adventures. Novelty keeps the mind young. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Exactly. Do something a bit random. Pick a new cafe every Wednesday. I have a habit with Mariko going to the same cafe on a regular basis. We like it, it's good. But I also like discovering new cafes, and we discovered a new one. Well, I discovered a new one. I noticed it's a big hotel that's right in the middle of nowhere. It's on a historical site as well, so I wanted to go and see it. It's got some Roman ruins there. But I noticed they had a coffee shop, so we went there, and that was an adventure in itself. It was not what I expected, but it was quite amusing because it was different. So it was entirely not what I expected. And then I found out later why, but it was interesting, put it that way. So yeah, just touring around a small museum on opening time. We've got some great museums. So I live not too far from Oxford, and Oxford has got some really quirky museums. And there's one, I can't remember what it's called right now off the top of my head. Yeah, Pitts River Museum. It is really, really quirky, really interesting. It's an example of the day, sort of eccentric Victorian adventurers going around the world and collecting various cultural artifacts. And they do address this issue about sort of colonial adventurers acquiring cultural artifacts and the issues with that and around that. But it's got that sense. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy and sort of random collection of kind of weirdness from around the world from 100 years ago. It's just eye-opening, a really interesting museum. And just doing things like that is just really cool. So yeah, absolutely. Learn something every day. Curiosity is a muscle, use it. One short article, 10 pages of a book, a language app, a YouTube tutorial on pruning roses. Absolutely. I'm always trying to learn something in making these videos and in exploring my sort of existential life crisis or whatever you want to call it, my midlife awakening, not crisis. I'm getting into sort of philosophy. I've just ordered a book on the Stoic stuff, on Stoicism and things like that. So I'm really curious about that. And there's some Japanese philosophies I'm reading because I've sort of attempted to write some books around some of the sort of Japanese belief systems and stuff and ideas and principles available at Amazon and in the description below. So yeah, I'm always learning, and I'm actually really enjoying learning about different kind of philosophies and stuff like that and trying to apply it to my life, as you've seen on these videos. So there we go. And of course, I'm trying to learn Japanese. I need to ditch Duolingo because it doesn't really help me. Guard your inputs. Number 10. If I ingest headlines before breakfast and argue with strangers online by noon, the rest of the day rarely goes well. Like I said, yeah, sometimes I'll read the news, but I'm pretty good at just sort of skimming through and not getting too triggered. There was a phase, with social media. I mean, phase, it still exists. It's probably getting worse. The way that the algorithms work in social media and the outrage, this sort of industrial farmed outrage, as they call it. It's kind of pumped out like a factory, just pumping out outrage and stuff like that. And it's very easy, as we have seen in these, divisive times, to get outraged for no reason. You're just wasting your energy. And a lot of it's sort of incorrect information, or it's just being put out there to outrage you because it gets clicks, and then it builds a false narrative and all this kind of junk. Get off social media if you're feeling triggered and all of that. Tidy money, tidy mind. No one relaxes when one's finances feel fuzzy. Absolutely. Check out my video about Kakeibo over here. I did a video all about Kakeibo. It was a Japanese sort of housewife budgeting system that was developed about 100 years ago by a Japanese female journalist. Beyond just keeping a track of your money, it's also about being mindful and understanding and being more comfortable with your money. And I've always had a funny relationship with my money. When I've got it, I've loved it. And when I haven't got it, it's been depressing. And it's either up or down. Being in control of your money, even though I have a lot less money now than I did when I was working, I feel much more at peace. I feel much more mindful with my money because I know how much I've got, how much I can spend, where it goes. And when I want to make a big expenditure or any kind of expenditure, I have a sort of moment about it. Not a moment of anxiety, just a moment of thoughtfulness. I'm in the moment. I think about it. I feel at one. And when you are retired and you're relying on a pension or investments and stuff like that, it's really important to be at one with your money. Be mindful of your spending and mindful of the money coming in and out. It takes a whole lot of anxiety off your shoulders. End the day with gratitude and closure. Nights can spiral into, did I do enough, if you let them. I keep 2 end of the day habits. First, I write 3 lines. One thing I did for my body, one for someone else, and one that made me laugh. Second, I choose tomorrow's first action and put required item in plain sight. A book on the table, walking shoes by the door, a note that says, cool roof at 9. I mentioned this before. Closing the loop before bed is like tucking in your future self. I like that. And you wake up with a breadcrumb trail rather than a blank page, and the mind rests earlier. I like that concept. It sounds a bit eager. Some of these things sound a bit like school SWAT. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I do. But I think there's a genesis of concept in there. What I tend to do before I go to bed is I read. It just calms the brain. To me, that's what I do. And I try not to think about tomorrow too much. Maybe I think, oh, I need to do that video or whatever. I don't think about all the things I'd all desperately need to do or things I didn't do today, because that's like when you're working, you think, oh, I didn't do that project and I've got to do it tomorrow. Oh, and then I've got that big meeting tomorrow and I haven't prepared the presentation and all that kind of, and that's where you get anxious and anxiety comes in and you can't sleep. When you're tired, you shouldn't really have any of those worries about what did I do today? Oh, I didn't do that project. Like, who's your boss? What project? Just have a word with your boss when you're tired. Hint, you're the boss. Like I said, projects can take as long or as short as they need to in retirement. There's no rush. So there's no need to get anxious about, oh, did I do enough today? Doesn't matter. Maybe you chose not to do enough today. That's all part and parcel of being retired. So, chill. But definitely you can think about, what, tomorrow I'm going to go and do something. I'm going to go to, that museum or whatever. I'm going to go and try that weird coffee shop that I mentioned or something, whatever it is. I think that's absolutely fine. I'm not sure I'd necessarily write 3 lines down, but I know some people find sort of mindfulness out of sort of journaling and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit kind of swatty for me, but I get it. But I do have a moment of mindfulness, put it that way. And for me, just reading maybe a chapter, a couple of pages before I go to bed is just, fine. So conclusion, happy retirees aren't happy because every day is perfect. Absolutely. It's not about having a perfectly planned days and living that idealistic, thing that sort of pension companies sell us and all of that. They're happy because they build rails that keep ordinary days moving in a good direction. That's what I'm saying, the rails, about that gentle scaffolding. When life throws a curveball, doctor visits, family emergencies, oh yeah, a leaky roof, oh God. Habits hold the line until you can return to the center. Absolutely. That's why I talk about a gentle scaffolding. It just gives you it just keeps you on track, like rails, like guardrails. So you can just bumble down the hill of life and you don't roll off. Learning makes conversation richer. Service gives meaning to money and time. Small hinges, big doors. Oh, I like that. You don't need to adopt all 12 tomorrow. Absolutely. We're not saying, right, do this now. There's just a thought experiment for me. All my videos, I hopefully just give you food for thought. And that's what this channel's all about. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I hope you found it interesting. Put your comments down below as ever. Do you agree with these? What do you do? How many of these sort of steps and habits do you sort of try to do in your life? Let me know in the comments down below. It's always fun to read the comments. And of course, if you like this video, subscribe. If you like this video, then please hit the likes because I like it, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find content just like this. And if you're new to my channel, then as I said, please hit the subscribe button, toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I go live with content just like this. Talking of videos just like this, why don't you check out the videos right here? These ones here. Thanks for watching. Cheers.